This is a story of someone who likes trying way too many different things, but it's also the story of him trying to get kind of okay at them. Welcome to A La Plancha. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of A La Plancha, where we are gonna rock out today. Well, maybe not today anymore. It's kind of late and I don't want to get in trouble for making too much noise. Anyways, for this week, we actually have kind of a multi-episode sort of deal going on. And what I mean by that is that we're actually going to be running a project within a project, I guess. But it'll still be part of the series. It's just that we're going to be tying the themes, I guess, into the next couple of weeks. Basically, three weeks. 3 weeks. Think of it as when you're watching your favorite TV show and then suddenly they have like the hour and a half long special movie episode, I guess, but it's not really a movie. It's just like 3 episodes set into one thing. Am I still talking? My girlfriend Lindsey and our anniversary is coming up in a few weeks, and she is a big fan of the band The Strokes. That is her favorite band, and I love that band too. I grew up with them as a little preteen, listening to their first 2 records religiously. And so I thought what would make for an interesting project for this series for the next few weeks is that I would like to write her some music, as I've done before. I think it's always fun to sit down and write a little type of song for my girlfriend. But this time, I think the twist that we're going to be relying on is that we're going to be using an idea from one of her favorite bands. As I mentioned earlier, the Strokes have an EP. Why am I so itchy? But anyways, they have an EP that sort of the concept behind the EP is that they wrote 3 different songs. One song that is supposed to sort of sound like their past, let's say. One song that is supposed to sound like how they make music at now, but I guess this came out a couple years ago, so it's how they would write music in the moment, in that era when they made it. And then they wrote a song that would sound like how they thought their future material would sound like. So you fucking Strokes nerds already know, right? A future, past, present, future. I'm kind of a fake fan. I'm kind of a fake Strokes fan. But just hearing those words, you should know what EP it is. But anyways, I'm going to take that concept because I thought it was a pretty fun concept that I think my girlfriend would appreciate, and use that as a starting point for the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to also call it something similar, but let's just call this little mini project the 777 project. Came up with that all by myself. Just big boy, big dreams, crayon and a piece of paper. But anyways, the reason why it's called the 777 project is because our anniversary is on July 7th. 7-7. It's been 3 years since we first started officially dating, so 777. And it's also like, picture like slot machines in Vegas, right? Very luck based. I feel very lucky to have her. It all comes together. The politicians start agreeing. A fantastic anniversary gift. World peace is achieved. So anyways, I thought that would be an appropriate name for this little project. So up first, for the first 7, I guess, of the slot machine, is that we're going to be writing a song that is trying to sort of take how I would have maybe approached making a song in my past. So let's set the clock back maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So for this first week, I'm going to be writing music how I think I would have wrote music like way back before I was 20, maybe even. So actually, I'm going to be digging a lot into those influences from that era, which Funnily enough, back then I listened to a lot of her favorite band. So if the song this week comes out sounding a little bit like the Strokes, then you know why. But you can also send all of your letters to @Lindsey But maybe I should get her a P.O. box, I don't know.
Well, here we are, lads. It wouldn't be a video made by me if there weren't an impromptu recording session in my car. So anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about this first song, which is obviously going to be me making music as I would be making music in the past. So how I would write music and record when I was younger. Oh my gosh, I don't have COVID, I promise. So I wanted to set the dial back maybe like a decade. So right now I am 26. So when I first started writing music, period, let alone recording, I didn't really start recording until I was about 17 or 18 years old. But when I first started getting interested in the process of just making music or figuring out how to do things, I would go through just periods of time where I would like download sample packs online of instruments that people would make on the internet and try to make things like that, but nothing really kind of clicked for me because obviously the music that I was listening to, I couldn't really make it with a sample pack. I had to play the actual instruments. So around that age, I was obsessed with stuff like the Strokes, which is also, as I mentioned before, Lindsey's favorite band. But I was more so obsessed over bands like Blur, Deerhunter, Queens of the Stone Age, late 2000s, early 2010s type of indie rock I was very big on. For this song, I wanted to approach that kind of like recording indie, style where it's kind of more, let me get back to you. But anyways, as I was saying, for this song, I wanted to approach the song from that 2000s indie kind of style where it's a little bit more like, I guess, like gritty, maybe. As I was saying earlier, though, I was obsessed with bands like Deerhunter, more so even than the Strokes. So I did want that type of energy. I know that's her favorite band, but I kind of wanted like my take on that Strokes sort of vibe, a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more maybe ambient, but like the actual musicality of it, the way I'm gonna play the instruments and sing and stuff, I think is gonna be very reminiscent of that. See, I have sort of the same amplifiers that the Strokes would use on their records. I have a Fender Hot Rod. I don't know if it's Deluxe, DeVille. In any case, the layman's term for my amp is a Hot Rod, a Fender Hot Rod. I got them just because I've grown up with a lot of people who like playing the Strokes. When I first started playing music locally, I would hit up people on Craigslist and just kind of jam around with people till I sort of found the right type of people that I like playing with. I ended up getting wrapped up in a lot of Strokes cover bands over the years, so a lot of the musicians that I've met also used a Hot Rod, just because the band members from the Strokes would use them. The guitarists, Albert and Nick, I think both used them, at least when they were first starting out. But for the longest time, I would jam out at other people's places and they would always have a Hot Rod, a Fender Hot Rod. And I actually ended up really liking how it sounds, like a whole bunch. And in general, you'll find that they're kind of like a workhorse type of amp. They're really common everywhere because anything you kind of want to throw into it, whatever genre or pedal or effect you want to throw into it, it ends up working really well. And my Hot Rod is a thing called a tube amplifier, which, to give you like the brief Spark Notes version of it, basically means that it's powered by these tubes that heat up, and then when you plug your guitar into it, as you start playing, especially as the volume of the amp starts increasing, you're basically overwhelming these tubes, and then they cause this thing called breakup, which if you've ever heard like a distorted guitar, that's why when you start playing these amps at a really loud volume, you start working like these pedals. Anyways, hopefully that is the end of the interruptions. But let's go ahead and finish things off. By the way, I went to my first baseball game the other day, so a huge thank you to Lynn and her family. And then they gave me this sweet Giants hat, and the Giants won against the Angels. So baseball excitement aside,
like I was saying earlier, I have the amp, which is the Fender Hot Rod, which is the same one that the Strokes used. A tube amp basically has these little tubes that you break up the more like hot signal goes into it, and that achieves like that gritty distortion sound that you usually only achieve, now that I'm home, by cranking up the volume to crazy levels. But the use of guitar pedals, such as this one, we basically able to like kind of drive those tubes a little bit hotter at a lower volume than we would normally be able to. And we're going to be using this bad boy along with our hot rod to kind of get some of those stroke tones, as no one says. But to summarize, yeah, we're going to be a late 2000s, early 2010s indie boy this week. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I'm much more mature, hopefully, than I was in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Even though I'm more kind of like advanced in like my songwriting and like musical skills, we'll be trying to do it kind of old school. So hopefully Lynn will appreciate this. We're going to be making a sort of Casablanca's, more like bitch. We're going to be making a White Castle. We're going to be making a White Castle track. I'll try to have it more of a modern take, I guess, but you know, like kind of a more laid back production style, even distorted vocals. I'll try to see how I do that. I know the guy sang out of an amp when they were first doing it because it had saturation to the voice. So obviously singing through an amp, if you want like that sort of distorted tone, it's a really good way to do it on the cheap. I may do that, but I'm not 100% sure yet, so we'll see how we achieve sort of like that stroke sound, but sort of not exactly there. I kind of want to do my take on it, but you'll definitely hear it in the instrumentation. So let's keep it brief and we'll go ahead and move on to the song. And here's how she came out.